So you've just picked up Stellaris and you're thinking by yourself, please sir, can I have some more? Well, I've got some good news and I got some bad news. The good news is there is a ton of content for Stellaris to the point where you cannot see the forest because of all the trees are being in the way, but we're going to go over most of the big expansions today and you can get a good idea of what is out there and what may be up your alley. It's always a good idea to look out for these whilst you're looking at a sale and you're thinking by yourself, I would like some more of that, please. First of all, there's the big five. These are, of course, Utopia, Apocalypse, MegaCorp, Federations, and Nemesis. These are the larger expansions that came out over the last few years, and let's take a quick look at what they do and how they function. Do you like megastructures? Do you like the idea of hive minds? Do you want to put mind bullets in other species? Well, Utopia may be the choice for you. Probably the best expansion of all of them. This particular one has a great focus on all the classic space opera tenants. Megastructures, as I have already mentioned, ascension paths, origins, all of that stuff is here. You can build Dyson spheres, you can build ring worlds, you can build habitats in space to live on. You can play as a organic species that is essentially one person, but they are a hive mind, so they are controlling all these other things that are going on there. Plus the ascension paths, you've got yourself psionics, you've got yourself biology, you've got yourself cybernetics. All of this stuff is available in Utopia. It is a great update and it's probably the first one that you pick up if you have the chance. Do you enjoy blowing up planets? Do you like building excessively large ships or defense platforms with humongous cannons on it? Well, Apocalypse may be for you. This is an expansion that is completely focused on combat and all the tenets that come with that. The Colossus project, build a giant planet killer? Yeah, that is part of Apocalypse. Do you want to build a Titan with a giant gun on it? Yeah, that's part of Apocalypse. In addition to that, there are Marauders, who are space pirates, effectively. There are 3 particular variants of them, and they will demand stuff from you, and if you wait too long, then they will awaken, and they will become their own empire, and are a mid-game crisis, and that's something you're going to need to deal with. In addition to that, you will have the ability to use something called nihilistic acquisition, which basically means that you can steal other empires' pops and put them to work on your worlds, because clearly they're not getting any work done wherever they were. Finally, there are the origins, life-seeded, and post-apocalyptic that are coming with this particular expansion. Basically, you can start on a Gaia world or a Tomb world and all the fun that comes with that. Apocalypse is pretty good, and especially if you're interested in combat as well as space materials when it comes to big explosions, yeah, this is the way to go for you. Do you think Weyland-Yutani was right for trying to take the xenomorph in the Alien franchise? Do you like the idea of getting vast amounts of money? Well, MegaCorp is definitely up that alley. Basically, in MegaCorp, you'll have the ability to play as a giant corporation. It's got its own physics. It can use something called a branch offices, which is pretty darn good. And on top of that, there is the crown of a planet called a Ecumenopolis. Pave over your paradise and turn it into a arcology world filled with foundries as well as consumer goods factories, and probably have some of the best output in the game. In addition to that, there is the Caravaneers, floating space organizations that will go around like traveling salesmen and try to sell you stuff. So that is definitely something that is available. In addition to that, megastructures are also once again part of this. The matter decompressor, probably together with the Dyson sphere from Utopia, one of the best structures in the game because it will give you infinite minerals. The strategic coordination center as well as 2 others. MegaCorp could be a little bit lackluster at first glance, but the Ecumenopolis is definitely worth your while, and the Matter Decompressor Strategic Command Center is incredibly powerful, and you could probably go and pick that up. But if you see this and you're not quite sure if you want to get this at full price, pick it up on a sale. MegaCorp's pretty fun once you get the hang of it. You just won't play it very often on the MegaCorp side. You're mostly in it for the planets and the megastructures. Do you like soft power? Do you like building federations? Do you like making friends? Do you think all that stuff from Apocalypse from earlier on is just nothing because who cares about guns? Well, Federations is for you. If you want to be the ultimate power when it comes to soft power, making your way through the galactic community and influencing people left, right, and center, well, Federations is the way to go. New Federation types for every single type that you can imagine. Do you want to have a scientific group working together? That's possible. Do you want to have a merchant coalition? Yeah, you can do that. Or just your classic setup as a dominion where you are the big boss and all the other little empires will have to work for you. Yeah, that's there as well. Of course, you can control all those little empires by sitting in your gigantic juggernaut, which is a new class of ship that comes with this. In addition, there's the mega structure, mega shipyard, where you can just crank out ships like no tomorrow with Federations. In addition, finally, Origins. There's Void Dweller, where you can start in space as a empire who lives only in habitats. It recently got changed. It has a little bit of additional fluff. The Shattered Ring, which for a long time was probably one of the stronger origins in the game because you start on a ring world, which has everything you would ever need. Got a little bit of a nerf recently, but it's still quite good. And finally, there is Shoulders of Giants as well as Doomsday. And Doomsday is a challenge origin, so it's more of an advanced thing. Federations, again, is all about the political side of the game. It's a diplomacy side of the game. If you're into that, Federations is for you. Of course, Apocalypse players, you can look the other way in the meantime. Would you like to become Galactic Emperor? Would you like to be the one that ends all of existence? Would you like to be the one who does all the spying? Well, Nemesis has got all of that. Becoming the Crisis is one of the big things, one of the big tentpole features of Nemesis, where you become an empire in space that is a menace to society, destroying planets left, right, and center, killing pops all over the shop, destroying stars, turning them into black holes, harvesting for their dark matter, and then creating a machine that ends all of existence. Yes, that is part of Nemesis. In addition to that, you can become Emperor and go even further than Federations did and run the galaxy as the Galactic Imperial Army and basically say, look, we are in control now and there's nothing you can do about it. Of course, this comes with all sorts of cool little additions to the diplomacy system and is actually one of the more fleshed out systems within Nemesis. It's actually very, very enjoyable to become the Emperor and telling everybody what to do. And if you're into that, if you want to roleplay as, Emperor Palpatine, then this is definitely something that you can go and try out. It is one of the newer ones. It's probably going to be a little bit more expensive than the previous expansions, but still, it's still a fun little pickup if this is up your alley. But of course, it doesn't end at the big five. No, there is more stuff for Stellaris as well. The story packs as well as the species packs. So let's kick off with those story packs and then slowly but steadily trickle into those species packs. Do you like monster movies? Do you enjoy kaiju? Well, Leviathans is for you, because Leviathans adds mini-bosses into the game where you basically have certain systems that are blocked off. Giant monsters roam the void of space and you will have to go in and take them down and take their loot away from them. They're basically like your classic D&D boss where you are going to need to take them on at some point to make sure that you are strong enough to take on the big guys even later on. Leviathans was one of the first expansions ever released, and it does show some of the mechanics are a little bit older and a little bit out of date, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to pick it up because it does add a slew of new content. There's the enclaves, which are special stations who can give you all sorts of bonuses in the directory of science, unity, as well as selling you strategic resources. Then there's the war in heaven, where the fallen empires wake up. They will try to shake you around for a little bit and then go mano a mano with each other, and they'll try to drag you into it, and it's a lot of fun. It adds a lot of content to the end game, and Leviathans really takes that idea of an end game and really solidifies it with that war in heaven. However, that doesn't mean there's other ways to play as well. Do you like robots? Did you think that Skynet was right? Well, welcome to Synthetic Dawn, because you can play as robots who've got their own traits, they've got their own civics. You can play as simulators, you can play as the destructive force of Skynet, you can play as servitors and make sure that everybody is okay, whilst making sure that they don't harm themselves by taking away all their good stuff. Yes, Synthetic Dawn is very much focused on robots. It can be a lot of fun, although it is a little bit niche. You're not going to be playing as robots all the time because it's just something that is on the buffet. Synthetic Dawn is fun. It adds a lot of cool things like robotic uprisings as well as machine worlds, which are worlds covered in machines. They're only accessible to robots though, so do keep an eye on that. But Synthetic Dawn is a lot of fun if you want something else. If you've explored all of Stellaris already and you're thinking by yourself, I would like some more, please, sir, then Synthetic Dawn is something that you could probably pick up. Of course, if it's on sale and it's cheap, then go and pick it up as well if it is in your budget. There is one expansion which is considered to be one of the best ones in the game, and I'm not talking about Utopia right now. I'm talking about Distant Stars. Would you like to have a brand new mystery with a piece of space and the extra galactic area of the game? Yeah, the L cluster is there. Would you like to have dozens of new anomalies available that you can explore and get new stuff out of, some of which is incredibly good? Yeah, Distant Stars has that. Would you like some unique systems with events like, I don't know, a Gaia world, which turns into a Shroud world every 24 months? Oh yes, it recycles everything. It is pretty darn good. Distant Stars is great. That's all I can really say. It has new Leviathans. It has unique systems, as I've already mentioned. Those anomalies I was talking about. The L cluster. It is just so good. It's probably one of my favorite expansions, and whilst I'm gushing all over it, there is obviously a couple of things that are objectively good about it. First of all, it's a story pack, which means it's cheap. 2, it adds a lot of additional content to the base game that is just amazing, because who does not want more mystery and discovery? And that's exactly what Distant Stars brings. It's one of my favorite packs, and you should probably be picking it up with the base game if you can. However, there is a pack that you should probably not pick up with the base game, and that is Ancient Relics. Ancient Relics is one of those outliers where you're thinking by yourself, you know, Indiana Jones in space would be a really cool idea, but then it turns into a little bit of a lackluster experience where you're sending a scientist down a hallway and every 5 meters they're picking something up. That is the relic system within Ancient Relics. It is okay for what it is. You can get the relic system, as I've already mentioned, and basically it adds a type of anomaly site where you can go from A to B to C to D. The thing is that the system itself is not particularly adaptable. You don't really have all that much to do once you've already done all of these, so there's not a lot of replayability in Ancient Relics. What you want to play Ancient Relics for, however, is capturing the relics themselves. The relics themselves are basically items that show up in your menus. You can capture them, you can use them at your advantage. Do you want a knife that makes your ships go a lot faster? Yeah, you can do that. Do you want a machine that generates a ton of alloys? Yeah, you can do that. But still, Ancient Relics, you don't play it for the relic system itself. You will play it for either the relic worlds or the new precursors, the Baul and the Gironi. They're actually quite good, but the real question is if all of this combined is really worth the price of admission. Ancient Relics, pick it up when it's on sale. If you want to complete your collection, you want to add some additional RP, some role-playing to your game, this would be a good one to pick up. Finally, we get to the species packs. Now, the species packs used to be aesthetic only until lithoids came around, and then all of a sudden the gloves came off and traits were being added to these packs. So they had to go back and actually update humanoids and plantoids to add even more value to them, which is pretty great. But yeah, do you want to play as plants? It sounds like a little bit of a weird question, but they're actually quite good, and Plantoids does exactly that. You can get a whole bunch of new civics, like, I don't know, catalytic processing, where you can turn basically food into alloys, which is not powerful at all, of course, because it completely sidesteps the whole mineral process, and you can focus your economy a lot better, as well as a whole bunch of traits like budding and phototrophic and radiotrophic, which add a lot of additional role-playing mechanics to the game, and you could probably go ahead and try out. Plantoids, humanoids, lithoids, and necroids are usually quite cheap, so these packs are definitely worth your while to pick up in order to get more options when creating your species. Speaking of which, if you're watching this, you're probably a humanoid, specifically a human, and that's pretty much all you can say about the humanoid pack, because it, of course, like Plantoids, adds a new ship set. It also adds a origin as well as a bunch of civics. Become masterful crafters, where you can basically make consumer goods so plentiful it's not even funny, but also become pleasure seekers with some of the best settings in the game for keeping your population happy. So yeah, humanoids is actually pretty worthwhile, and you should perhaps go ahead and pick that one up. Same thing with Plantoids. It recently got overhauled. Both of them are quite good. Then we get to rock people. Do you like rock people? I like rock people. I saw Thor Ragnarok. It was a good movie. We all had a lot of fun. But did you know that you can play as them in Stellaris? Well, Lithoids has you covered. Not only does Lithoids have the best looking ships in the game, they also have some of the more interesting mechanics with Lithoids who eat minerals rather than food. This, of course, all combines into a completely unique playstyle that you can use, but the thing with Lithoids is similarly to Synthetic Dawn, is that this is something you should pick up if you want more Stellaris. You've played a lot of the rest of the game. You've messed around with the other expansions, and now you're ready for something fresh. And that's where Lithoids comes in. You can play as rock people, because rock people, they rock, basically. Since at the time of recording this video, we are on the cusp of October, the spookiest month, so therefore we should probably talk about the Necroids. Necroids, similar to the Lithoids as well as the Synths, are yet another species that you can play once you want more Stellaris. That's pretty much how it all works. Basically, you can play as a species that can take other species and turn them into themselves. It's very much Goa'uld-ish in that sense. It's a lot of fun. However, you kind of don't want to get started with Necroids too early on. Sure, you can have the ability to kill one of the Leviathans in the game and then turn them into zombies. Sure, you can do that. That's totally possible. But Necroids is one of those packs that has a good ship set, it's got good portraits, it's got good mechanics behind it in terms of traits, but you should probably wait on picking this one up until later down the line, either when you're seeing a new good sale, or if you want to play more Stellaris, or if you're just really keen on creating a Goa'uld empire. And that wraps up this overview of all the expansions that are currently available for Stellaris. I hope that I've given you a good idea of what is available out there in terms of the larger expansions. Sure, there's a bunch of other stuff as well. You should probably not pick that stuff up because the ebook is terrible. The soundtrack is actually quite excellent. You should probably do that because it always gets updated. Now, the thing with Stellaris is it is constantly in development, and all of these expansions will get new content slowly over time as the custodians come in and basically polish up whatever has been left behind by the main team. But still, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up here. Did you enjoy this video? Did you like this? If you want to see more Stellaris content, if you're completely hooked, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, because that's all we talk about over here. I got 180,000 people that are choking at the bit, or chomping at the bit even, to learn more about Stellaris, and if you want to join into that party, feel free to hit that subscribe, and of course liking for the algorithm. Thank you my patrons as well for keeping this channel on track, but we're going to go and wrap this one up here. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take good care of yourselves, and as always, enjoy Stellaris. It has a big galaxy ready to be explored.